Thanks for staying with State of Texas in Depth. Here to discuss the race for Texas Lieutenant Governor, we turn to our political roundtable. Morgan Smith joins us from the Texas Tribune. Jim Henson joins us from the Texas Politics Project. Welcome, guys. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Sure. So we just saw Todd Staples' interview. Does he have a chance at becoming Lieutenant Governor?
Well, I think that's going to be determined in the next month. Todd Staples waited a little bit longer than some of the other candidates to start spending money. He got up on air at the beginning of January. So I think his strategy has been to wait to he's definitely been traveling the state talking to voters, but in terms of statewide TV buys, he's waited to make that play in these last couple of months.
And in your research, I mean, how critical are TV ad buys in the last month before an election?
Well, we know that people are just now beginning to pay attention, and actually a lot of people won't begin to pay attention for another couple of weeks. And, you know, Todd Staples is in an interesting position. I think he started as one of the kind of favored candidates among insiders in the process, and in a lot of ways he's been a little bit disappointing so far, and I think the question for him now is, did he wait too long?
Leading the Senate can be a very challenging job. I mean, we saw the things that Lieutenant Governor David Dewhurst had to go through this past year, especially with the abortion filibuster. Do you think Todd Staples has that in him?
Well, I mean, I think that's one of the things that why people on the inside really kind of liked him. He knows the process. As he said in your interview, he's an experienced government hand. And I think at this point, that's both his strength and kind of his weakness with the Republican primary electorate.
Obviously, everyone's been talking about the governor's race for Wendy Davis and for Greg Abbott, but Lieutenant Governor, it seems like it's a bit more of a competition, at least on the GOP side. Why is this race so important?
Well, I think that we have, we have a candidate, an incumbent who's been in office for the last decade, and then we have three other folks in the Republican primary who are all very experienced, who have been, the one that has least been in public office is State Senator Dan Patrick, and that was since 2006. And so you're really seeing a contest about style and what the leadership of the Republican Party is going to be like rather than substance. So I think looking at who comes out on top on this can give some indication as to just the general direction of the Republican Party in Texas.
Any predictions on who is going to come out on top right now?
I think it's still, it's getting later, but it's still a little bit too soon to tell. I think we haven't seen a lot of public polling numbers. Hopefully we'll have some soon. It looks right now like David Dewhurst is doing a lot better than people thought he was going to. I think if you go back to the period immediately after the legislative session, Dewhurst had seemed a little tentative and weak and kind of took it on the chin because of the filibuster, as you sort of showed. And that's when Staples seemed like kind of a promising candidate, and Dan Patrick also was really rising. I think there's a difference between the perception of Dewhurst among the Republican electorate and his perception on the inside. And I think it now looks like Dewhurst is almost certainly going to make a runoff and will come in first. And now it's a battle for what the margin is going to be and who gets that very prized second runoff space.
Now, who do you think would be in a runoff? Who could be the most challenging for him at this point?
Well, I think that you have to look at who's more likely to come out and vote in the runoff, and I think the Dewhurst campaign is probably concerned about facing another Ted Cruz situation where you have the further right wing of the party coming out and just wanting to get rid of whoever the incumbent is or whoever looks most like the incumbent. But I think the challenge in this race is that none of the candidates can really truly claim an anti-incumbent mantle because, as I said earlier, Dan Patrick is the one who's been in office the least, and he's still been in office since 2006.
When you talk about that Ted Cruz factor, Tea Party, Dan Patrick, it's right there.
Yes, though we have to say that all of these candidates probably have a complicated relationship with Ted Cruz supporters because they all endorsed David Dewhurst, and State Senator Dan Patrick got into a fairly intense back and forth with Senator Cruz on the radio during that time. So, and I think a lot of Ted Cruz supporters remember that.
Great. Well, thank you guys for being with us. I appreciate it. And over the next 4 Sunday mornings, we will profile a different lieutenant governor candidate. We will first work our way through the rest of the Republicans. Next week on February 9th, current Lieutenant Governor David Dewhurst joins us in the studio. On February 16th, we have Land Commissioner Jerry Patterson. On February 23rd, Senator Dan Patrick joins us on set. And on March 2nd, we will speak with Democratic Senator Leticia Van de Putte. And just a few days after that, on March 4th, Texans will head to the polls. The primary election, where we'll have complete coverage right here on KXAN News and online at KXAN.com. Thanks for watching State of Texas in Depth. Join us every Sunday morning at 8:30. Have a great day.